Hey, horse racing enthusiasts, this is John. Welcome to the channel. It is now Tuesday of Derby week, and we're another day closer and getting, more clarity as it relates to the horses and how you feel about it, the expectations, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to hit on a couple of four things. We're not going to get to sort of the answer or who's going to win the Derby today, on Saturday. But I did have a couple of things that I wanted to mention. And I guess the first thing is just coming out just over the last hour. Number 9, Encino, is scratching. So if you remember, Encino won the Lexington. It did really well. What's that, like 3 weeks prior to the Derby? So it's kind of a quick turnaround for him. And it's probably the right call. A lot of folks speculated that he probably wasn't going to make it. So anyhow, Epic Ride draws in. And I think what is important about that is now all the horses post 8, after post 8, will move in one. And then Epic Ride will be the end of the 20th horse, in essence. The number will probably be something like 21, but let's just say 21. But it'll be the 20th spot in the gate. So anyhow, we may have more like this. It kind of happens. I never forget. Several years ago now, I had a futures bet on the Derby favorite, and I think it was at 50-1, and had a futures bet on him. We were looking great, and the morning of the Derby, wakes up, he had a fever, and rightfully so, they scratch him. So we never know what's going to happen. You could have a scratch coming, so let's keep an eye open, for that. And you just have to adjust. And I don't think it changes any of my selections, particularly coming from such a wide such a wide trip. But I feel like this horse is is a reasonable horse, probably on the improve. Its highest speed rating is 90. That was grade 1, the Bluegrass. Came behind Sienna Leone and Just a Touch. So draws in, it's progressed each and every race, has improved its speed figure. So it looks like, it's going to be a horse to sort of monitor over the next, 6-9 months. But I don't see it as a threat for this race. But, has a wet of 393, is a distance, Tomlinson at 320. So, good, decent horse, probably not going to impact the race. We've said that before, and other things have happened, but, I think it'll be I don't think it'll be a threat to the race. I guess that's enough said. So, okay, so that's Encino. Next I wanted covered was the Japanese horses. So some of you may know at this point that we have 2 horses that are Japanese horses that came in through, the weighted races over in Dubai, in Japan itself. T.O. Password went through some sort of Japanese race, and then Forever Young, I believe, won the Dubai Derby. So I think T.O. Password, I'm not really going to consider. My angle on this has traditionally been, make them prove it to us. They come in every year and say, like, oh, this is the year of the Japanese races. And to be frank, they've started to win some of the world tournaments. I don't see that they're a huge threat to win on this one. Although the second horse, Forever Young, has run 5 times. Coming first 5 times. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, so how do you evaluate this? When you look at the past performances, the Japanese horses don't have the same, it doesn't look like the past performances are even the same. So I wanted to take a few minutes and sort of go through this. So T.O. Password is number 10, and then Forever Young is the 11. It's strange that they showed up right next to each other. So let's focus on Forever Young. Won the Dubai, the UAE Derby, just in the end of March, and then prior to that won the Saudi Derby. Pardon me, everybody, but the Saudi Derby. So and then it's won, two, three other races. So every one of its races have been over a mile, 1-for-1 at the distance of the Derby, which is 1.25 miles. And so, I mean, it's hard just to put a line through this one. So what do? Well, I look and see, well, are there any horses that Forever Young has run against that are running in the Derby, and how can you compare them? Well, the short answer is there's really not. Okay, so now let's go the other. Are there any horses in this race that have run against other horses in the Derby Trail? And the answer to that is no, too. Now, has there been any horses that they've run against that have run against a horse that they've run? It sounds confusing, but let me just get to it. So the second to last race, that Saudi race, the horse that came in second is a horse called Bookham Dano. And Bookham Dano, I've been watching, probably about 6 months or so, maybe more than that, 9 months. I think I don't have its PPs in front of me, but I believe it ran, I'm going to say sometime during Saratoga that I saw something about him. But I do know that in mid-January, there was a 7-furlong race at Tampa that I was at, and Bookham Dano raced against West Saratoga. All right, how did it go? Well, West Saratoga was the one. West Saratoga has a bit of stalking style. They and then ran the rail, had a free and clear rail, and what happened was that Bookham Dano came out the outside, 4 wide, around the turn, down the stretch, ended up winning the 7-furlong race by about 4 lengths. What does that tell us? Well, I don't know. It's something that we can look at and can point to. I don't know if Bookham Dano was in this race, he'd probably be, something like 50-1. I mean, we gotta place him probably right around where Saratoga, West Saratoga is. So my sense on that is that I think we have to consider it. I think we have to sort of, West Saratoga is 50-1. So I think we have to sort of say, okay, here's something we came up with a theory. Here's something that sort of substantiates our theory, and let's move on. That's how I'm taking it. So what does that mean? I'm going to use him underneath in some of the tried bets, but I'm going to go with others, maybe to my detriment, but let's prove it, in the first and second place. So that's what we're going to do with the Japanese horses. In 1 year, we'll be completely wrong. They'll win, and we'll have to reevaluate at that point. One of the other things I wanted to mention is that the weather reports are showing 85% chance of rain, scattered showers on Kentucky Derby Day. And at first you say, "Oh my goodness, we've done all this handicapping, and what are we going to do?" So my first comment on that is, this has been crazy run-up year for Derby preps, and there's been a lot of rain. Particularly up in New York, Aqueduct, Fairgrounds had a fair amount of rain, and I think that the horses that have run, you can look at, when I look at a horse in the wet and the rain, what are we looking for? Well, I look at Tomlinson. I look at their experience on the wet, and I look at pedigree. Like, we know that, certain horses have a history of being able to run the wet. And what it is I don't know whether it's they don't get as tired as the rest in the mud, or whether they really like it. I'm not sure which one that is. But, so, there's 2 other things I want to say about that. So there's a lot of horses that have good pedigree, good Tomlinson figures, and have proven themselves on the mud. So who am I talking about? Well, Dornoch is one out of the mud, came in second once. Sierra Leone has the same, two tries, 1 win, 1 second place. But I want to call your attention to, in the mud, if it's a legitimate mud, let's look at this. We got to look at this second race, 2 races back, for Mystic Dan. It was at Southwest. It was the G3 in the mud. Beat Just Steel in Liberal Arts. If you remember, we were at Liberal Arts, and it had a jump in its buyer speed figure to 101 in the mud. And that's very common. Some horses, I always shy away from horses, particularly in the undercards, that have been successful in the mud but don't show anything else. But they could go this way where he's got 2 wins. One was in the mud, and maybe this horse is going to be a mudder. And he had a 101. And his speed figure with the track variant puts him right up there with Sierra Leone, right on par with Sierra Leone, Door Knock. The only one I don't think he kind of gets in with is Fierceness at 17. And so we say Fierceness at 17 has the 2-1 ratio as well. He's got the 110 and the 105. Neither one was in the slop. His slops are when he was just starting out his first race and second race. So, but his he has a high speed figure in track variant. But he does do a 95.11, which is pretty close to Mystic Dan's 91.12 or 92.14. So, anyhow, let's monitor the weather. My takeaway: I don't think you have to make any major changes. I think if it is wet, I think we want to consider Mystic Dan in the tries and so forth. I think if you have, for example, as I do, I'm kind of zeroing in on. I love that Catching Freedom, right? And I love that LA Derby. However, Anne Marie is much better odds and was closing and is going to have more distance here in the Kentucky Derby. Has a 390 in the Tomlinson figure for wet, and is one second place out of 2 tries in the mud. So I don't put too much into that. Looks like he can run in it. Honor Code and Smart Strike. And then Catching Freedom, well, we know the Tappet horses like it. He's a Constitution with the Tappet grandsire. And then underneath, he's Pioneer of the Nile, which is, was the grandsire's Pioneer. Underneath, the grandsire is Pioneer of the Nile, who was the sire of American Pharaoh. So, obviously could run in the wet. So, all that is to say, I don't think you have to do wholesale changes. I think you want to make sure that your horses that you like have some experience and able to handle it. And then I think I would look at Mystic Dan, and I'm looking to do. He's trained by Kenny McPeak. I'm already looking to do a Derby, a Oaks Derby double. And in that I want to use, it's just kind of a silly angle that I'm thinking about, but I'm going to go with the 5 in the Oaks, which is Torpedo Anna by Kenny McPeak, trained by Kenny McPeak, and then Mystic Dan, and that's just a little hunch on my part. I'm going to take Mystic Dan in the Derby for that Derby Oaks double. So just so you know, you play it just like the Davy double, but it's called the Oaks Derby double. And those are the 2 horses that I'll take for that. Okay, so Rain, they don't shake it up, but I would look for Mystic Dan in that. So where do I stand right now in my analysis? And this could change. I'm looking at Fierceness. If Fierceness, is the controlling speed and can get out there and get an easy lead, and Johnny V's able to sort of lull everyone to sleep, that horse is going to win. I think Sierra Leone has great. We're just talking about wet. Has great experience on the wet. Hasn't done anything wrong. Has progressed. That the horse is a player. The only thing is his strategy is from a deep closer, which we identified this as being a potential race for deep closers to win. It's always it's a little white knuckle kind of thing, because it's coming out of the clouds, and it may look at the top of the stretch that he has no chance, and all of a sudden he's there at the end. So it makes for an exciting time. So Fierceness, Sierra Leone. I think Catching Freedom, Anne Marie, and then the Justify babies. Just Steel, whom I like, and I like Asmussen's kid. Keith is on him. Dwayne Lucas is the trainer. Has progressed, ran a 95. If it continues to progress, he's got the real base. I don't know, has something like 11 races. I think he could. I think he could be there. You know, and you know, he's proven at the distance. So, and then just a touch. 3 races. Progressed in each one. 89 buyer, 90 buyer, and a 96. Kind of on the lead. I'm not sure if it's his speed or if he's sort of a stalking strategy, but just a touch. Underneath the just a touch is Tap It again. So is Tap It as a grand sire. So it looks like it should be able to handle the distance. It seems to me. Ran a mile and an eighth, and you know, I should watch that race. I want to make a note on that. It did look like he gave up the lead to Sierra Leone, so I want to see that race just to see if just the touch faded or whether he was caught. So that's where we stand now. Okay, what are we looking at going forward? Do another video tomorrow. Thursday we'll do videos for the Oaks Day, and then Friday or Saturday morning, probably Friday night, I'll do a video on the Kentucky Derby. So that's where we are, enthusiasts. Hopefully your handicapping's coming along, and it's exciting time. Go ahead and hit any questions that you may have. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, and then send it around to any friends. It's a good time for us to increase the viewership. But it's all good. It's all exciting, and I look forward to speaking over the next couple of days. Thanks, y'all.